Chapter 31. The journey continues. With the tabernacle completed, the Israelites were now ready to follow God wherever He led them. A cloud covered the tabernacle by day, and at night fire appeared above it. This was the sign of God's presence among them. Whenever the cloud lifted, the Israelites packed up and moved forward. Whenever it remained, they stayed in place. They did not know how long they would camp in each place. Sometimes it was a few days, sometimes many months. The Israelites learned to trust God's timing. As they traveled, God guided them through Moses. He gave them laws to live by and instructions on how to worship Him. The Levites, the tribe set apart for priestly duties, carried the Ark of the Covenant whenever they moved. But not everything went smoothly. The Israelites often complained about food, water, and the difficulty of their journey. "Why did we leave Egypt? We had plenty of food there," they grumbled. Yet, each time they doubted, God provided. He gave them manna to eat, water from the rock, and quail when they desired meat. Despite their struggles, one thing was certain: God was leading them, step by step, toward the promised land. Chapter 32. Trials and Tests. As the Israelites continued their journey, they faced many tests of faith. Though God provided for them, they often doubted and complained. One day, they arrived at a place with no water. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "Why did you bring us here to die?" Moses cried out to God, and the Lord told him, "Speak to the rock, and water will flow from it." But Moses, frustrated with the people, struck the rock twice instead of speaking to it. Water still came out, but God told Moses, "Because you did not trust me enough, you will not enter the promised land." Later, as they traveled, the people grew impatient and spoke against God and Moses. Suddenly, venomous snakes appeared and bit many of them. The people cried out, "We have sinned. Pray for us." God told Moses to make a bronze snake and set it on a pole. "Whoever looks at it will live." Those who obeyed were healed. Through each trial, God was teaching the Israelites to trust Him completely. The promised land was near, but first, they had to learn to follow God with all their hearts. Chapter 33. The 12 Spies Report. The Israelites traveled through the wilderness for a long time. Finally, they reached the land God had promised them, Canaan. God told Moses, "Send 12 men to explore the land." So, 12 spies went to Canaan. They saw green fields, big trees, and strong cities. They also found huge grapes, so big that 2 men had to carry them on a pole. After 40 days, the spies returned. "The land is beautiful," they said. "But the people, they are big and strong. Their cities have high walls." Caleb and Joshua, 2 of the spies, said, "We can take this land. God is with us." But the other 10 spies were afraid. "No, the people there are like giants. We are small like grasshoppers." The Israelites became afraid. They cried and wanted to go back to Egypt. They did not trust God's promise. God was not happy. "Because you do not believe me," he said, "you will stay in the wilderness for 40 years. Only Joshua and Caleb will enter the land." Even when people doubt, God's promises never fail. He always keeps his word. Chapter 34. The woman who hid the spies. The Israelites were preparing to enter the promised land. But before they could cross the Jordan River, Joshua sent 2 spies to scout the city of Jericho. The spies entered the city and found refuge in the house of Rahab, a woman who lived near the city wall. When the king of Jericho heard about the spies, he sent soldiers to capture them. But Rahab hid the men on her rooftop under stalks of flax. She whispered to them, "I know that the Lord has given you this land. Everyone here is afraid because we have heard how he parted the Red Sea and defeated mighty kings for you. Please swear to me that when you take this city, you will save me and my family." The spies agreed. "Tie a scarlet cord in your window. When we come back, everyone inside your house will be safe." That night, Rahab helped the spies escape by lowering them down the city wall with a rope. The spies returned to Joshua and reported, "The Lord has surely given this land into our hands. The people of Jericho are terrified of us." Rahab's faith saved her and her family. She believed in the power of God even before she saw his miracles. Chapter 35. Nearing the Promise. After many years of wandering in the wilderness, the Israelites finally approached the promised land. But before entering, God gave them final instructions. Moses reminded the people of everything God had done. "Remember how the Lord led you, provided for you, and tested you. Trust him, and you will be blessed in the land he is giving you." However, Moses also warned them, "If you turn away from God and worship other gods, you will be driven out of this land." Then God told Moses, "Your time is near. You will not enter the promised land, but you will see it from a distance." Moses climbed to the top of Mount Nebo and looked out over Canaan. There, God showed him the land promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After blessing the people one last time, Moses passed away, and God himself buried him in an unknown place. The Israelites mourned for 30 days. Then God chose Joshua to lead them into the land. Be strong and courageous, God told Joshua. I will be with you as I was with Moses. The journey through the wilderness had come to an end, and a new chapter was about to begin. Chapter 36. A New Beginning. After Moses' passing, Joshua became the new leader of Israel. God spoke to him, saying, Be strong and courageous, for I will be with you as I was with Moses. The Israelites stood at the edge of the Jordan River, ready to enter the promised land. But the river was overflowing. How would they cross? God told Joshua, Tell the priests to carry the Ark of the Covenant into the river. When they step in, the waters will stop flowing. In faith, the priests stepped into the Jordan, and immediately the waters stopped. The Israelites crossed on dry ground, just as their ancestors had crossed the Red Sea. After they reached the other side, Joshua commanded, Take 12 stones from the river and set them up as a memorial. This will remind future generations of what God has done. The Israelites rejoiced. They had finally entered the land God had promised to their forefathers. But their journey was not over. Ahead of them stood Jericho, a great city with mighty walls. They would soon face their first battle in the promised land. God had led them this far, and He would not fail them now. Chapter 37. Victory through faith. After crossing the Jordan River, the Israelites camped near Jericho, a strong city with high walls. Joshua sent 2 spies to explore the city. They stayed in the house of Rahab, a woman who believed in the God of Israel. She hid them and said, I know the Lord has given you this land. Because of her faith, she and her family would be saved. God gave Joshua an unusual battle plan. March around the city once a day for 6 days. On the 7th day, march 7 times. Then have the priests blow their trumpets and the people shout. The Israelites obeyed. For 6 days, they marched in silence. On the 7th day, they marched 7 times. Then the trumpets sounded, and the people shouted with all their might. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed. The Israelites rushed in and took the city just as God had promised. Rahab and her family were spared, and she later became part of the lineage of Jesus. This victory was not because of strength, but because of faith and obedience. God had given them the land, and He would continue to lead them. Chapter 38. The battles for Canaan. After the victory at Jericho, the Israelites continued their conquest of the promised land. But their next battle at Ai did not go as planned. They were defeated because one man, Achan, had disobeyed God by taking forbidden treasure from Jericho. When Joshua sought God's guidance, the Lord revealed Achan's sin. Achan confessed, and after justice was carried out, Israel fought again. This time, they won. They learned that obedience was the key to victory. The Israelites then faced a new challenge. The Gibeonites, afraid of Israel's power, tricked them into making a peace treaty by pretending to be from a far-off land. Joshua and the leaders did not ask God first, and they were deceived. But because they had made a promise, they honored it. Later, 5 Canaanite kings gathered to fight against Gibeon, and the Israelites went to help. In this great battle, God fought for Israel. As the enemy fled, Joshua prayed, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon." Miraculously, the sun stopped in the sky until Israel won the battle. Through many battles, Israel conquered city after city. But the victories were not because of their strength. It was God who gave them the land.
Chapter 39. Inheriting God's Promise.
After years of battles, the land of Canaan was now under Israel's control. But there was still much to do. Each tribe needed to receive its inheritance. Joshua gathered the Israelites and divided the land among the 12 tribes as God had commanded. Judah received land in the south, including Jerusalem. Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons, were given large portions in the central region. Benjamin, Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan each received their share. Levi was not given land, but was assigned cities, because they were set apart for God's service. Among them, Caleb, one of the faithful spies, came forward and reminded Joshua, "God promised me this land because I remained faithful." Joshua blessed him, and Caleb took possession of Hebron, defeating the giants who lived there. After all the land was distributed, the Israelites built the tabernacle in Shiloh, making it their center of worship. Then, God gave the people cities of refuge, places where someone who accidentally caused harm could find safety. Finally, when all was done, Joshua gathered the people and reminded them, "God has fulfilled his promise. Serve him faithfully, and you will prosper." The land was now theirs, but their faithfulness to God would determine their future.
Chapter 40. Inheriting God's Promise. As Joshua grew old, he gathered all the Israelites at Shechem to remind them of everything God had done for them. "The Lord has fought for you," Joshua said. "He gave you this land, just as he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Then, He gave them a choice: fear the Lord and serve Him alone, or follow the gods of the nations around you. With great unity, the Israelites responded, "We will serve the Lord." To mark this commitment, Joshua set up a stone monument under an oak tree near the tabernacle, saying, "This stone will be a witness against us, that we have chosen to follow the Lord." After this, Joshua passed away at the age of 110 years, and Israel continued to serve the Lord during the lifetime of those who had witnessed His great works. But as time passed, a new generation arose that did not remember the Lord. They began to turn away, leading to a time of struggle and hardship. The land had been given to them, but their faithfulness to God would determine their future.